My name is Nathan and I am a fourth year economics with industrial experience student at Exeter University, and I'm here to tell you a bit about what student life is like as an economics student. So before I begin, I'll tell you a little bit more about me. So I'm originally from Surrey, and before coming to Exeter I studied 3 A-levels in maths, biology and economics, and I joined Exeter straight after year 13 as a fresher. So first I want to tell you a bit about why I chose Exeter. So there are a number of reasons for me. The first was that Exeter is a very much campus-based university. Everything is on campus. There's a central space for anything and everything you could possibly want, which was really good for me because I like to have everything close by. And also for me, having an area where there was just for university and work, an area that was my home, so the rest of the city, was quite important for me just to be able to quite easily strike a work-life balance. So that's one of the reasons I picked it. Another reason was the rankings. Exeter's ranked really highly for economics, and the business school as well is very well regarded, so that was definitely important for me, was picking a highly ranked institution, of which Exeter is one. Another reason was Exeter is really green, so unfortunately we can't see that today because of lockdown, but hopefully you can visit us one day and you'll be able to see how beautiful and open our campus is, which is definitely a big selling point for me, because after a long day of lectures or a lot of work, I'd like to be able to just walk around the gardens or just have free space just to meander in. But perhaps the biggest selling point for me was that Exeter's economics course is really flexible, so you can really customise your degree to how you would like, particularly in the latter years, which was important for me because I wanted to have choice in what I study and what I'm interested in, and also I wanted to be able to have quite a split between maths and essays, so that I was studying different areas of economics and not feeling like I was doing too much maths or too much writing, which I've been able to achieve with quite a customisable degree, and I've actually found areas of economics that I'm really interested in. And the final reason I picked was probably the feel. So often when you visit university, you know if it's right for you. And if you visit Exeter in the future, hopefully you'll feel this too. I definitely did, and that is another reason why I picked Exeter as the university that I now attend. I'll now quickly give you a rundown of what a typical week is like, but I'll just caveat that by saying that every week can change and be different. So there's not really such an idea of this is every week, it's just an idea of what I do in a kind of typical week. So I quite liked an even split of my modules, so I decided to do 4 modules per term, and I have about 2 hours of lectures a week per module, so I have 8 hours of lectures a week, and I probably have a seminar or so a day, which is like a classroom lesson, where we'll often go over a problem set that we would have done beforehand, or discuss an economic issue, and often a discussion question. So that's like how much academic side I have directly taught. That's about 12 hours a week total. And then I will probably spend 3 or 4 hours a day studying on campus, and there's loads of different areas to study, and by having, say, 12 hours, it allows me to have a good amount of time to actually focus on my work too. And then in terms of what I do outside of the actual course, I have a part-time job as a student ambassador for the university. Often on a Wednesday afternoons we have off at the university, so I tend to do a lot of work on a Wednesday, working for university in a part-time role. And I also play a Dutch sport known as korfball. It's their version of basketball, so I have training for that 3 times a week, and then I also have games for that on the weekend and during the week, so that takes up a significant portion of my time as well. And then I also have the Business Finance Society known as BFS, which is a huge society in the business school where we do a lot of networking events with companies done about careers. They have employer skills workshops, and of course socials. I have socials with my sports society and with BFS, probably once a week or every fortnight. So there's a lot of social side of things to get involved in too. There's also the Feely Lab, which is our economics laboratory in Exeter, where you can do experimental economics experiments and get paid to take part in them, and so you'll actually make a contribution to real research. I do one of these experiments every week, probably on average. And my weekends are often free, so that'll be to spend time socialising with friends, catching up with them, or just having a chill day, which is sometimes really important too. But if I have got a bit more extra work, particularly if I've got a lot of reading to do for that week, or I've got a few more problem sets, questions I need to catch up on, then the weekend allows me to do that too. As I said, I do economics with industrial experience, which meant I did a placement year as part of my degree. I did my placement year at the Walt Disney Company in their financial forecasting division. I had a lot of fun doing that, and it was a really cool company to work for. I had friends who did their placements at Deloitte and the other big four, the Bank of England, UBS, Lloyds, the big pharmaceutical companies. There is a whole range of different companies you can work for, big and small. And I don't thoroughly recommend it. It gives you an experience of working in a real world environment, often your first time in the office. Definitely was for me, learning what an office culture is like, which is really important. It gives you an edge. And you learn skills that can't be taught in a classroom environment, particularly the soft skills you need in the business environment, and how to conduct yourself. You learn them on a placement year, so it's definitely a really good idea to do. And it gives you an edge in the job market. It signals that you've gone out of your way to do something additional and that you have extra experience, so it's definitely a really useful thing to have. And it gives you the nice benefit of having a bit more disposable income in final year, because the business school only lets you do paid placements, so you have a bit more money to play with in final year if you haven't spent it all during placement. Some of my friends also did year abroads instead of placement years. They thoroughly enjoyed it, and that's definitely something to consider as well. I had friends who went to the Netherlands, went to Montana in the US, have been to Canada. There is definitely loads of different universities you can go to. So if you would like to get a bit more of an international feel, that's definitely something to consider too. In terms of living in Exeter, Exeter's a really nice city. It's a beautiful part of the country in Devon, nearby to Cornwall too, but it's a really nice city in itself as well. It's the perfect size that everything's in walking distance, but it's got loads going on. There's everything you'd want there. There's 2 main shopping centres, there's lots of bars and pubs, so it's a really nice city to be in and to study in as well. And it's really safe. The University's State Patrol, which is our security, are often seen driving around and are there if you ever need anything. But the city in general is really safe, which is really important, particularly if it's your first time living away from home. And everything's, as I said, is pretty close. Everything's walkable. Most students tend to live within 20 minutes of the university. I lived less than 5 minutes away this year, which was brilliant because I could almost just roll out of bed and be straight in my seminars, which was really handy because I quite like a lie-in. But wherever you are, uni's never going to be that far away, and the uni and the city themselves are just quite a short walk away from each other, but you can also get a bus as well, but they're not very far from each other. There's also lovely things in the surrounding area. You've got Dartmoor, which is a not too far away drive from the city, and for less than £4 a return with a rail card, you can even go to the beach. So that's Exmouth Beach. It's beautiful, and a lot of students tend to go there as well. So there's a lot in the surrounding area you can do as well. The bars, pubs and restaurants in Exeter's really decent as well. You've got all the classic chains as well as a load of independents, which are really nice. There's an area called the Quay, which has a load of waterfront restaurants and bars, and is definitely a good place for your parents to take you when they come and visit you if you come to Exeter. And Exeter's really well connected. It's easy to get wherever you need. London's about 2 hours on the train. We have a coach station. There's coaches going all over the country, and we even have our own airport as well. So it really is easy to get to, and it is super well connected and a beautiful city. In terms of the social life, Exeter has a lot of societies, which is where a lot of the socialising is focused around. So if you're part of a sports club, for example, you'll have your training, then you'll have your sports socials probably on a Wednesday night, because that's our sports night at one of the nightclubs and when the socials tend to be as well. If you're part of a society, you'll have all your society events. There's a society literally for everything you could imagine, and if not, you can make one. Societies tend to have their socials as well on different nights of the week, often weekly or fortnightly. So there's honestly so much to get involved in on the society scene as well, but also lots of things to do with your friends. We have about 5 clubs in Exeter, so there's something for every night of the week. On a Tuesday, for example, there's a Cheesy Tuesday night, if that's your thing. So there's definitely something you'll enjoy of an evening. We have an on-campus nightclub known as the Lemmy among students. That's really good, and we even have an art gallery that sometimes turns into a nightclub, which is the Exeter Phoenix. There's a lot to do of an evening. There's also a lot of cultural stuff as well. So we have the Exeter Northcote Theatre, which is Exeter's largest theatre, and that's on campus. We have a lot of society balls, often be at Christmas or at the end of the year, and we even have balls that are organised for the students by outside companies such as the Enchanted Garden Ball. So there's a lot of different events to get involved in as a student, and there's so much to do and so much to see in the local area. And there's also the Imperial Pub, which is famous among its students. It's definitely a huge haunt. It's a huge Wetherspoons just on the end of campus, and that is really famous with students, and it's really nice to go to if it's a nice summer's day because they've got a huge beer garden. So there's so much to do as a student, and it's a lovely place and a really safe place to study and to socialise. In terms of what's next for me, I am going to study a Master's in Economics in the Netherlands, specialising in behavioural economics, because that's what I've discovered from picking my modules this year from the flexible choice we get. that's an area of economics I really like, so I'll be going to pursue that further, a master's level study. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope you enjoy the rest of your online open day and get to come to see Exeter in the future and join us soon. Thank you.